Alright, peace and greetings YouTubers. Okay, so this is another edition of my R&B is Dead, What the F Happened series. Alright, in this series today I'm talking about the overall aspect of hustling and how you can hustle to get people to buy your albums or spark some type of interest in your work so that you can remain relevant within your musical career. Alright, one thing that many R&B acts are suffering from right now is the lack of effort, the lack of hustle. They put out an album and that's it. It sells 30, 40,000 copies and we never hear from them again. Okay? Because what's happening is these acts just don't know how to push an album anymore. And like, in a day and age where people don't sell already and R&B really isn't selling, you as an artist have got to be on your P's and Q's and really just get out there and do what you can do with the limited budget that you have to get your albums out there. I do understand that a lot of R&B acts don't get the Beyonce budget. They don't get the Usher budget. They don't get the Lady Gaga budget. They get the, you're like number 36 on our list of priorities out of 34 because we were supposed to drop you last week, but we decided to let you stay since you already recorded your album. I understand a lot of R&B acts are in that position, but there are ways around the evils of the music industry as far as your marketing. Okay, case in point, this is something I noticed. When I go to Starbucks, I said that kind of like Nicki Minaj. When I go to Starbucks, right by the tip jar, I always see a nice little rack of albums. And it's always some albums from some stuff I ain't never heard of, stuff you probably can't even find at Target or whatever. And it's always those 60-year-old people that were hot back in like 1970. You know, the Rod Stewart Family Christmas Duets collection. Stuff like that is usually at the little rack by the cashier's box at Starbucks or whatever. And my thing is, if Rod Stewart isn't too bashful or too prideful to have his CD sitting next to the tip jar at Starbucks, why can't you as an R&B artist do something similar? Like, honestly, I know it sounds cheesy, but think of how many records some of these people sell just by having their album sit on a display stand at something like Starbucks, alright? Okay, the Starbucks right here in like the DC, the Starbucks right by Howard University, alright? That Starbucks, even though most people that probably go to that Starbucks aren't going to be listening to the Rod Stewart Christmas Duets collection. I'm just saying, there's like 400 or 500 people that go in that Starbucks every single day. Alright? Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think of how many Starbucks stores there are on every corner in every city, even out there in the middle of nowhere and internationally, that Rod Stewart Christmas Duets Family Collection As Seen on TV album is in every one of those stores by every tip jar. After a while, those numbers add up. And I mean, hey, maybe it's only 30,000 copies that get sold. But when you're selling 30,000 copies a week, those numbers start to add up. Alright? Okay, because Lionel Richie had him a good time going on. I think he went platinum with this little country album he put out there. I saw that right there in Starbucks. I'm like, let me get a mocha. Is that Lionel Richie? Country what? Okay, I didn't buy it, but I'm just saying. And, you know, so with these R&B acts now, I know Starbucks is not going to let Keisha Cole sit by the tip jar. Oh, no, you ain't sitting over there. We scared of you. We don't even know. Nope. And I know Starbucks is not going to let Candy and some of the others sit by the tip jar. But you know where they can go? I know this sounds real cheesy, but me and my friend were talking about this on the phone yesterday. Can y'all CDs sit on the tip by the register at the Hair Supply Plus store? Like, seriously. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I mean, hell, all y'all are already on Hype Hair Magazine. You might as well go ahead and buy your Yaki number 7 and get a free Keisha Cole CD, or buy a Keisha Cole CD for $6.99 or whatever. Like, it sounds cheesy, but when we're in a day and age where marketing is almost impossible to do for an album because MTV and BET are no longer relevant to music if they even play videos, alright? There's no more TRLs or whatever. There's no more Arsenio Hall shows. You know, music videos as a whole are going out the door because you don't even need music videos anymore to push your music. In a day and age where anybody can be an entertainer if they have a YouTube page, like me, I don't think I'm an entertainer though, you know, you have to hustle and do what you need to do. So I know it sounds cheesy, but honestly, and I know it sounds very media takeout worthy, having your CD sitting next to the combs by the register at, you know, Tata Tina's hair. Well, no, ain't no black people own no hair stores around here, but it might be 2 or 3 of them. So I'm sorry. So at Lee Highroy's beauty supply store with wigs, $4.99. You know, it sounds media takeoutish, but that might help you sell somewhere. Like, you people just have got to do what they do. Like, I look at somebody like McGill versus Jasmine Sullivan. All right, they came out around the same time. All right, McGill. What's funny about McGill? He came out with the All I Want Is You album. All right, nobody cared. Nobody was even like I went to Howard Homecoming in like 2010. He was in the same club I was at. I didn't even know. He was sitting there performing the heck out of his song. I was like, oh, that's McGill. Oh, okay. Well, let me just keep going. I'm trying to get upstairs because I'm trying to get to that open bar before it closed. And you know, but McGill, when his CD came out, I think it sold 8,000 or 9,000 copies the first week. And you know, usually in this day and age, your first week sales are reflective of how you're probably going to do the rest of the way. He did horrible his first week. He didn't have any support, and he didn't have that much marketing, which is why he was in some rinky-dink club instead of on TV promoting and stuff. And instead of sitting there pouting, this dude hustled. He found his way on every possible stage he could get on. Every Jimmy Kimmel, Jay Leno, David Letterman, anything he could perform on, if he could get on Sesame Street, he was going to perform it. He'd take his little glow-in-the-dark microphone stand that he borrowed from Sheila E. from the 1988 AMAs where she did Glamorous Life or whatever, and he performed that dang All I Want Is You and short to anywhere he could perform it, alright? He went to any hole-in-the-wall club, and he had a huge little MySpace following when MySpace was still popular back in like 05, 06. He already had a popular MySpace following because he was my MySpace friend. Even though me and like 100,000 other people. But, you know, he already had that MySpace following. And then he had his Facebook following. And he had all the people on YouTube that subscribed to his YouTube page. He was doing any and everything, pushing that album. And slowly but surely, even though he didn't go gold, he sold 200,000-300,000 copies. It was enough to get him to a second album. And because he did all the production and everything on his first album anyway, the label didn't lose out any money on All I Want Is You and made a pretty penny. So they gave him a second album. And you look at what he's doing with his marketing. Alright, he hopped on a bunch of mixtapes and features and everything. That song with Wale was a great hit that catapulted him into a different realm or a different audience to check from. He did a whole bunch of, even that haircut of his, that damn cockatiel mohawk, press and curl, flip, drop curl, whatever you want to call it. It works because it's a great marketing aspect. You already look at McGill like he kind of looks interesting. I can't figure out what he looks like. And now that he has his hairstyle, you automatically associate that hairstyle with the Kaleidoscope Dream album. And it's a great way to market. And you look at Kaleidoscope Dream, I mean, he didn't sell 200,000 copies his first week, but he sold about, I think, 80,000, which is a huge increase from 8,000. He sold 80,000 because he hustled his behind off and he established a fan base. And what he's doing is he's getting himself to a position where when he drops the third album, if he markets this album correctly, he may do some real numbers. Even Kaleidoscope Dream could sell pretty well if he keeps pushing it. It's not doing too bad right now. So, when we contrast and we get to my girl Jasmine. Jasmine happened to be probably one of my favorite entertainers in 2010, 2011. Okay, when she dropped Love Me Back, I thought that was the hottest R&B, probably still my favorite R&B album that came out that year. I was like, get it, Jasmine. Great album. Marketing, terrible, okay? Now, what messed up Jasmine was this guy named Larry Jackson, who was her A&R, along with Monica and Fantasia. They are all at J Records. Larry Jackson bounced, and he happened to leave the same week Jasmine's CD came out. So Jasmine got absolutely no promo. The only promo she had was an appearance on the Soul Train Awards and the Wendy Williams show. Other than that, we didn't know she had an album out. And the album comes out, and oddly enough, because people just like her for her name, and because circles that round and round and I just keep holding you down, like, because that song was such a hit, and then the 10 seconds was kind of building, she still sold about 50,000 copies her first week. Jasmine was like, oh hell no, I'm supposed to be the next Lauryn Hill. And I already had to fight and claw to make my last album go gold. I ain't doing this again. I quit. So she go on Twitter and cuss everybody out. And was like, I'm just going to take a break. I need to do me for a while. And she just throws in the towel. And lets this perfection of an album, she just let it ride out and fade and drop down the charts. And that just pissed me off. Like, I should take you off my wall, Jasmine. Because other people, Whitney needs space on this wall. I got a new Whitney Houston poster because, you know, I got to pay homage. And she needs space on this wall. So if you don't want to be here, you can go. But, whatchamacallit? So Jasmine just let this album drop. And I was like, dang, Jasmine. And she was like, and what pissed me off was I respected her hustle because on the previous album, this one right here, it sold like something similar. It only sold like 60,000 the first week. And they pushed the heck out of that album. She was on every TV show, music video, everything. They were going to make that show or make that album work. And it did. It caught on. She ended up going gold and got 7 Grammy nominations because she hustled herself. So these acts have got to hustle. All right? Like, sometimes, you know, I understand people don't get the big budget promo, but you got to do what you got to do. Like, oddly enough, I remember watching George Bush's inauguration back in 2001. Sign of the times. I must be getting old. And guess who I see on there performing? Ladies, leave your man at home. I was like, is this Destiny's Child? People join? What the fuck? But, you know, hey, Beyonce was like, look, me and my crew, we got to do what we got to do because we got another album coming out called Survivor in about 4 or 5 months, and our independent women's song did really good, and we got to keep pushing. So it was a smart way, though. So even though I'm sure I don't think none of them in that group were Republican or voted for George Bush, but hey, they were from Texas. They were right there partying with George Bush and Laura and the 2 daughters that drink a whole lot or whatever, pushing that project. Plus, I think they had just kicked Farrah out the group too. They had to do some major damage control. Let's get out and party with the president. Let Farrah and them know we doing pretty well. Look how you like me now. All right, stuff like that plays a role, or whatever. Or Jill Scott when she first came out, the Who is Jill Scott project. You know, she was on this record label called Hidden Beach Recordings that didn't really have a lot of money to market. You know, it's a record label that Charles Whitfield and Michael Jordan and I think 2 other people kind of invested in and kind of put out there, but they didn't have the money and the budgeting to really push someone like Jill Scott. And remind you, Jill Scott came out in 2001 at a time when the Britneys and the NSYNCs and Usher was back out with 87. Like, all these big projects that she would have to compete with. What did they do? They did a huge freaking street campaign. I'm talking about every urban metropolitan city. They had a street promo team. Who is Jill Scott posters all over the place. All the hair salons, the barber shops, the churches, anywhere you could get Who was Jill Scott poster, you saw a Who was Jill Scott poster. People ain't even know who she was. They're like, who the fuck is Jill Scott? And, you know, then the Getting in the Way and the Let's Take a Long Walk kind of came out, and there she goes. Jill Scott becomes Jill Scott, and the album sells 3 million copies worldwide. You know, stuff like that. When you push yourself, you have to do what you gotta do in this industry. Like, I know it's hard to get booked on these shows like Regis and Kelly and The View and all the crap, but honestly, these shows don't have a special guest every single time. You might need to camp out with their production team and say, do y'all have an open slot? We gonna find our way in here. Like, if En Vogue can get a performance spot on The View in 2010 where they didn't even have a record deal, why can't you get your spot to perform? You know, y'all gotta do what y'all gotta do. I'm saying, so if that means you gotta have your CD sitting at the barbershop next to the Obama pictures for sale for $8 or whatever, you gotta do what you gotta do to get somebody to buy your album. These R&B acts, they come out with these albums and they might do a week of promo. When the album comes out, they're done and they're at home chilling. Oh, wait, let me send a tweet. Hey, album in stores now. I'm like, Twitter's great, but Twitter doesn't mean anything. Like, this is what baffles me, especially with R&B, because R&B is marketed to mainly the black urban demographic. Okay. Black people, and not everybody, but just, you know, there are some black people that will, actually I'm not going to say black people, I'm speaking against my own race, I'm sorry, but there are a lot of people that will line up outside of DTLR, 5 a.m. in the morning, wrapped around the block with 200 other people, beat each other down, pull out a switchblade so they can purchase some $200-$300 shoes. But you, as an entertainer, can't get somebody to spend $11.99 on you. Actually, $9.99 on Tuesdays, the day your CD comes out, because you know Best Buy got that sale. Okay? That's a problem. If Michael Jordan, who ain't played basketball in the last 10 years, to the point where these kids don't even know whose shoe they're buying, can go in there and spend $200, $300 on some shoes of somebody they've never seen play before. Maybe they've seen it on YouTube. Maybe they've watched ESPN and they do a flashback, but they don't remember watching no real games. If they can spend $200, $300 on some shoes of an athlete they don't even remember seeing, that they weren't around for the 92 Dream Team, but they can buy the shoes, you as an entertainer should be able to convince somebody to spend $9 on your album. Hell, you spend $8, $9 already going to Wendy's. Like, come on. But that's just that. These artists have just got to figure out how to hustle. These artists need to start performing. Find your way on everything. Like, do any and everything that's going to get your name out there. Alright? And a lot of these acts have to stop marketing to the same group of people. Like, some people are going to buy your albums regardless. So, Monica, I love you, but get out of Atlanta. You can do everything you want to do in Atlanta, but Atlanta is not the only city that buys your albums. This is why nobody has bought New Life. And I don't even know if you gave that you I don't know if you just gave up on New Life. I thought you were gonna re-release it and call it Born Again or something, but you just said forget it. But Monica, as an entertainer, you just can't sit in Atlanta and do all your marketing in Atlanta, because that's not the only group of people that buy your albums. Okay, you need to go on across to the other side, to the Seattles and the Portlands and the Oaklands and the Richmond, Californias, where your music hasn't been played on the radio in years, and reintroduce yourself to those people over there, or to the people that are in the Dallases and the Houstons. Your music's not being played there because you stay in that southeast region, where you just stay in Georgia. And that's cool, but that's not the only way. That's why even with Brandy and 211, I love this promo trail she's been on in the Mid-Atlantic region or Eastern Seaboard, as far as the whole New York, Philly, Baltimore, D.C. That's great. But Brandy, I feel like that's the same demographic that always buys your albums. Branch out and go to those other sides. You need to go to the West Coast. You need to go to the Midwest. You need to go a little bit further down south. People, a lot of these R&B problems or these R&B acts, people just don't know you guys have albums out because the outlets aren't there anymore. You have to, if someone like me, I'm a little internet guru person all day. I know when everybody's stuff comes out because I'm on the internet all day checking all the music blogs and seeing what everybody's doing, who sold what, and let me check his daily double. But the average everyday person who has a real job and a whole bunch of kids that get on their nerves that they got to take care of, they don't know what day, and I think it's smart that Brandy named the album 211, but it didn't come out on 211. It came out in October 16th. So, I know it was for her birthday in Whitney Houston, the day that she died, but, people have got to know when your stuff comes out. A lot of these people don't know when your album comes out. Taylor Swift, she knew what she was doing. You can go to Pizza Hut. Real talk. You go, I think it was Pizza Hut or one of the places, and you get a free Taylor Swift album with your purchase of pizza. Like, Taylor's team was like, oh, we gonna sell this million and some change. All right? Y'all gotta do the same. I'm gonna go to bed because I'm doing a whole lot, and I'm talking real fast, and I'm tired, and I gotta go to work, and I gotta make sure I have energy for all the people that I work with. So, subscribe, do your thing. I'm out.